to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell, coast to coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
late
sort of
night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
That was Aaron Rodgers' thing. To your quarterback in the first round.
Yeah.
It's a luxury pick. We don't have the luxury. We're trying to win right now. I'm in a window right now, and you're going to say, no, we're going to plan this for the future. With a guy who had 4 years, 4 seasons ended by injury. 4. Like, Michael Penix is a walking injury. Like, what are you doing taking him in the top 10?
The Bostonian versus the Book.
And now you have to qualify in these majors. You got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness. And I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. Mm-hmm. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Let's make it happen. I mean, let's absolutely make it happen on a Saturday on SportsGrid on Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. I'm fired up. The NBA is not done. That's a good thing. I feel so often that everything I say makes it sound like I am on the Mavericks when that couldn't be further from the truth. I have full confidence that the Celtics will win this series. I have picked them to win this series. I'm glad we have another game. Maybe that's the Boston in 6 or Boston in 7 bets. Probably somewhat, but I keep the NBA around. And it's not like yesterday was a great game for me. I'm sure for a lot of you it was an awful game. Not the best watch. I'll hand up. Fourth quarter, I didn't need to watch Tim Hardaway Jr. go nuts. I was good. We moved things around. That's all good. But I'm glad we have another game. Props, nightmare mostly, unless you're an underbetter. Blowouts kill the props. They absolutely do. So it has been, it was a tough game. There's a couple of fallout items that I really want to get to, though. I'm very excited to talk about with that game. We have a lot to get to here, though, over these 2 hours. Full baseball card, Euro 2024. I keep saying 2020. It's like when you write the wrong date when you're still back in school. I was used to Euro 2020, but bear with me. Switzerland gets the win over Hungary, though, 3-1. Both teams to score. Little early morning sizzle in our back pocket. We love that. I'm on both of those games coming up later today. Spain, Croatia, and Italy, Albania. So we'll get some picks on the board there. We will talk huge WNBA game in a little bit. Aces Liberty. Stanley Cup final, of course. We will get to the Oilers trying to see if they can do what the Mavericks did. But, of course, the U.S. Open as well. And let's get to a couple of U.S. Open items here. We'll expand on this a little bit more. But here's a quick pick. Here's a long shot. Here's an 18-1 Neil Shipley top 20. Am I crazy? I don't think so. The number is too good. Neil Shipley is 2 shots up on Scotty Scheffler, who's about minus 150 for a top 20. Okay, fine. That's a bad bar. That's fine. That's a bad bar. What about Brooks Koepka, who he's 2 shots up on, who's about plus 240? Still a bad bar? I mean, he's got the same score as Jordan Spieth, who's plus 225. 18-1 for a top 20 on a guy who's T37 right now. And I know that he's an amateur. I understand that. But he was a big talking point. Not big, but he was a talking point at Augusta. And if you look at the metrics for Shipley, he's not out of place. Not at all. I wish we could get top 40s, top 30s. Those are all gone. There's no Neil Shipley round scores or match bets. And I understand. He could blow up, right? He kind of got a little bit worse as things went on at Augusta. But I don't think you can argue 18-1 on Shipley, who at the moment is 33rd in this tournament, strokes gained tee to green. 30. That is a great number. It really is. This isn't someone who's just relying on hot putter. And let's see if that putter can pick it up. I think it's absolutely worth a shot. The other bet that I made, actually I made two other bets. I'll tell you quickly. I took a Jordan Spieth round score under 72.5. I was going to play his top 20, but I thought I was better served playing the round score. Here's the list of guys that are inside the top 20 tee to green who are not inside the top 30 in the finishing position spot. Jordan Spieth, Brooks Koepka, Scotty Scheffler. Here's the difference. Here's where those guys rank strokes gained tee to green. Scotty's 20th, Brooks 12th. Jordan Spieth is 5th in this tournament tee to green. 5th. I think it's a great number to get this guy under a round score 72.5. There's some real regression due today for Jordan Spieth. I don't mind the top 20 play. I played a Rory outright. Plus 400, threw some boosts on it. Number's a little bit better. I played a Rory outright. We'll expand on that in a little bit. Let's talk some ball. Celts Mavs 3-1. Now, this to me, it's funny because the two things kind of came together, right? But when you try and figure out, well, what went correct for Dallas? Again, the answer is everything. They won every single quarter. They were up $1 billion in this basketball game. Largest lead was 48 points. It's one of the biggest wins, biggest leads, biggest halftime leads in NBA Finals history. It was a historic performance for the Mavericks. But again, if I had to key in on, hey, Dallas, where did this really go correct for you? The offensive side of the basketball. This is the first time this team broke 100 points in this series. I know they ultimately were able to get to a 122 number. This team had 92 points on the board through three quarters. The Dallas Mavericks full game totals were 89, 98, and 99 in the other three games. They had 92 on the board through three. Where Dallas is losing the series, it's why the Luka analysis falling off game 3 was so misguided. Attempting the charge there was a horrific move. But this is not a team that is down in this series because of their defense. Now, it just so happened Boston had a horrific performance from 2. Boston actually shot it all right from 3. They made 14 from 3, just one less than Dallas. They weren't super efficient, Boston, in the game. But for the Mavericks, look, you're not holding the Celtics to 84 again. I promise you that. You'll be lucky if you held them under 100 again in this series. It's, can you now get to 110 consistently? Can this Mavericks offense travel to Boston? Because the defense has been good. You know, I mentioned the other day, just off of the Mavericks win, a little tweet, Boston has not lost back-to-back games in this postseason. They are 2-0 against the number off the loss, winning both games by double digits. And someone replied to me like, well, yeah, but none of the losses were by 38 points, so I'm not sure the precedent matters. And I thought that was fair to bring up. I will make this very clear. Boston is winning this series. At some point, somewhere along the way, someone will likely blow a 3-0 lead. It won't be this Celtics team. It won't be. They haven't hit a ceiling offensive game yet in this series. At some point, they will score 120, 115, 120. Now, they might not need to, again, if the Mavericks offense doesn't travel, but if the Celtics hit their ceiling offensively, this will be done. However, to the prior point of precedent, the Mavericks have now outscored Boston in this series. It means nothing in the big picture, but if you look at it, it does kind of speak to the idea that Boston has not created wild separation from Dallas in this series, at least by final score. They've had big leads in all of these games, but Dallas has found ways to battle back in all of the games. And in games 2 and 3, they were decided both by 7 points. So there is an air of closeness to this series. At some point, Boston will break free. And that's all it's going to take. At some point, they will break free. The question is, can Dallas hold them down one more time and force that 6th game? Where, if they do, I would expect Boston to win it. But a lot of people will feel that if the Mavs can get Game 5, they're going to get Game 6. And then it's a Game 7 and it's Luka Doncic. I don't agree with that, but it does show how close Dallas is to changing the whole tone of this all. But the offense has to show up again. They are not getting back to Dallas scoring under 100 points in Boston for the 3rd consecutive time in this series. There's a lot of updated numbers around the NBA Finals. We'll get to those, and we'll get to your Stanley Cup Final as well. Kevin Walsh with you live right here on SportsGrid. We'll be right back.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had the par in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
We're back right here on SportsGrid. What is Scottie Scheffler doing, huh? What's this guy to win this tournament now? 220 to 1? Let's see. Yeah, how about that? Scottie Scheffler was minus money for a top 20 heading into the weekend, despite having an atrocious start to this tournament. The books are horrifying to give you any good numbers. I think it was 65 maybe to win the tournament. Let me just see what they did with his finishing position, because he's off to another poor start here. Plus 105. It's incredible. He's 6 over. Right now, to be inside the top 20, You need to be even. His round score prop was 69.5. Only golfer whose front number was a 60. So we'll see how it goes. Speaking of some 200 to 1s, I just want to pick up a couple pieces quickly from Boston, Dallas. Firstly, Finals MVP. Jaylen Brown is the favorite still. The number did drop, though, from where it was heading into Game 4. Rightfully so, Jaylen Brown did nothing in that basketball game. Tatum also largely did nothing. He did a little more than nothing, but again, they were both bad. It was a missed opportunity for Tatum. Tatum outscored Jaylen Brown's total in just his first quarter performance. Again, that's a notch, if there is any notch in the belt from this game for a Boston player. That's a notch in the belt of JT. But if he could have just finished this game with 20, he would then be this team's leading scorer, rebounder, assister, which would be a very difficult thing for Jaylen Brown, I still think, to overcome. But now that we are, so if you kind of, the trajectory of the Finals MVP conversation, the peak of it was Game 3. We are now, by the time we get to Monday, it will feel so far removed from that game. Because this is how things work. Tatum just has to outplay Jaylen Brown. And I think he will be voted Finals MVP if this series is over in 5. I am removing what I would do. If the series ended right now, I don't know. I'd take a look at Luka, quite frankly. He's been very much so the best player in this series. But it's 3-1, so that's not going to happen. You will notice, though, that Luka now has the same exact price for Finals MVP as the Mavericks to win this series, and there is no other Maverick even listed. So the only thing I would say, what is more likely? Dallas wins this series, or Luka wins Finals MVP because they pushed it to 7. I don't know. If Luka's giving you 29, 8, and 8, it might go that way. I don't know what the voters would do. I'm just saying, when Luka was comfortably being offered a bigger price than the Mavericks series price, that was always the way to look. One last thing. Series rebound leader. A pre-series bet at 14 to 1 on Derek Lively dropped to 200 to 1 after Game 1, and then 300 to 1 after Game 2. I bet that at 200 to 1 after Game 1. We mentioned it here on the show. That number is now minus 390. Lively is up on Luka by 5 boards and Tatum by 6. If you would like to hedge, Tatum is 650, so is Luka Doncic. You can get out of the whole thing scot-free. I will, because I am ultimately a liar to myself, never the people, probably going to let it ride. Because even though I always think when I play a bigger number, I'll hedge, you get in a position like this and you're like, yeah, but the bet's going to win. And the reason my confidence in Lively, though, is so strong is his minutes are going to be monstrous throughout this series. I mean, he entered that game so early in Game 4, played 30 minutes in Game 3. Look, could Luka get to 15 boards? He could. We know he's capable of it. But Derek Lively now has grabbed 25 rebounds in the last 2 games. This is his market to lose, and I don't think he will. And ultimately, again, you can hedge. I'm going to let it go. Derek White's a huge favorite for threes leader. Luka didn't make any last game. He's made 1 in the last 2. Luka's a slight favorite for assist leader. Tatum is still up on him, but Luka does have enough room here to kind of get back to it. Highest scoring performance is an interesting market on DK. Kyrie's the favorite at minus 105. That's the 35-point bar. Luka plus 175. Tatum plus 650. Tatum for 35 in the closeout wouldn't stun at all. It would not stun me one bit. I guess the worry would be he goes out there, scores 36, and then Luka scores 40 in the loss. All stuff we'll keep our eye on. Stanley Cup final. I apologize for the hockey fans who may feel as if I am shorting the breakdown, but I, again, can only be honest with you. I don't have a great read on this game. I do feel I have a great read on this series. Pat myself on the back. Panthers minus a game and a half. Panthers minus 2.5 games. Panthers to score 2+ goals in every game in this series. All of those should cross the finish line. The Panthers need to win one of the next 2 games while scoring 2 in all of the games. It should be good. Can the Oilers avoid the sweep? They can. If I were betting the money line with no other future tickets in, I'd be betting Florida. That was the case in Game 1, Game 2, Game 3, and here in Game 4. I fought under in Game 3, but I didn't like the price. It was an over. Now I feel like I'm telling myself over in Game 4. I feel like I'm chasing my tail, and I don't have a good read on this total. I mentioned that Edmonton parlay of their top 4 point guys, right? McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, and Hyman, which is now a 500 number this postseason. It's dead 5-5 in home games. But the number's worse in Game 4 than Game 3, and 3 of the 4 guys don't even have a point in this series. I can't justify that play. The only number I think I would look to add, and I'm considering it, is Barkov to win the Conn Smythe at plus 430. I don't think the Bobrovsky gap is justifiable right now. We'll be right back. We'll talk some more U.S. Open next year on SportsGrid.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had to par in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogeys, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
All right, we're back right here. We're in the mix. We're in the fold. Let's talk some U.S. Open for the people. Quickly, the Barkov thing, he's plus 430. It's minus 450 Bobrovsky. Am I lying to myself, though? I might be. I might be. It's very possible. That's probably part of the reason I haven't played it yet. But Barkov has an argument. I know Bobrovsky's been I mean, game one, he was absolutely brilliant. 32 saves in game three is great. He gave up 3 goals. I don't know how much is that on the defense. This is where I kind of have to step back. Less my sport. If it was the NBA, I'd have a better read on it. The Barkov number is intriguing. Joe Madden will be here. Matt Peralt will be here today. I'll see what they think about the number, and we'll see if it's worth it whatsoever. Let's talk a little U.S. Open. So the Neil Shipley top 20, 18-1. Jordan Spieth round score under 72.5. And then Rory McIlroy outright. So I find the pricing very, very interesting right now in the outright market. Ludwig plus 350. DeChambeau and Rory are both 4. Cantlay's 9. 11 on Xander. 14 on Finau and Hideki. And then the only golfer under 40-1 is Thomas Dietrich at 18. So what we kind of have, and I know guys can always charge back, but basically the books are saying we have 8 golfers that we think are in the mix. And anybody else would be a sizable long shot there. Pavone, Hatton, Corey Connors, Sam Burns, Akshay, all of those would be pretty, sizable long shots there. So to me, if you look right now, Rory is 1 back of everyone other than Ludwig, right? So you get a guy in Rory McIlroy whose pricing is second only to Scottie Scheffler at plus 400, who has 2 shots to make up on the lead, and a guy in Ludwig Aberg. Look, I know everybody, he's a supreme talent. You can tell he is going to win. You would project multiple majors. However, that finish line has not been crossed yet. And sometimes seeing is believing. So I absolutely believe at the moment that Ludwig can absolutely not get through here. So then we all right, now who else is in front of Rory? Dietrich, Bryson, and Cantlay. Well, I already have a bet on Patrick Cantlay. So that is irrelevant to me. And I'm fine with my Cantlay bet. I absolutely am. 1 shot off the lead, pedigree golfer. I know he didn't enter this tournament playing out of his mind. He played good enough yesterday to be inside this top 5. That's all you need out of Cantlay. So that's personally irrelevant. But Rory is obviously still expected to be much better than that of Patrick Cantlay. Thomas Dietrich is someone that's back there at 18-1. With respect, Thomas Dietrich is not expected to be able to be someone that's going to win this tournament, who's also right now, a lot of his success is off the putter. So then you have Bryson, who has the same exact number as Rory. And I know Bryson has been good at the majors this year. Bryson's having an overall very, very good season, right? Masters, T6, the PGA, he was second, and now here he is second again at the U.S. Open. But when I listen to the people who know this sport so well describe the course, where it's wide fairways, but you have to be careful, I still think that presents blow-up potential for someone like Bryson DeChambeau. So I'm okay taking Rory head-on with Bryson. Pavone, Tony Finau, those are the guys with the same score. Hideki's 1 shot back. And again, Xander's 2 shots back. Nobody else is inside the pricing. So again, when I look up, I have a guy in Ludwig who hasn't done it, Cantlay who I have a ticket on, and Bryson who I'm willing to fade. I have to play the Rory number here at plus 400 when if Scottie Scheffler, and I know this is probably a silly bar to use on the world's best golfer who consistently does cross the finish line, unlike Rory, who I know has his outright struggles. But if I gave Scottie the same score as Rory, he's what to win this tournament? He's the favorite, I'll tell you that. Underneath 2-1, probably. Is Scottie more than twice the golfer of Rory McIlroy? I'll say no. Give me Rory McIlroy to win this tournament outright here. Plus 400. Boost that thing up. Get some plus 500 in your pocket. We're going to talk to Joe Madden next here on SportsGrid.
crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had the par in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogeys, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
It's a jam-packed Saturday. We've not been able to get to this baseball board yet. To help us is Joe Madden. Joe, we'll also talk some hockey in a bit. Let's start this off right away, though, in Minnesota. Bailey Ober, a little bit more than minus 200 here against the Oakland Athletics at home. Total's an 8 right now. What do you look for in this game between Minnesota and Oakland?
I can't believe the Twins are such a big favorite here. Even at home, the way they've been hitting righties just hasn't looked solid out there, Kevin. And I do think they're going to have their struggles today. I can't justify it laying minus 200 or the run line here on the Minnesota Twins. So I am looking to make a play on the Oakland A's today. Joey Estes has looked strong out there for him. I'm taking him over the 4.5 strikeouts. That's coming in at minus 113. He's gone over this in 4 of his 6 starts, and I do think the Oakland A's can get on the board versus Ober out here. He's struggled. He's, the last three is 0-2 with an ERA over 7. So it's not a pitcher that I want to have faith in here. I know he's going to have that bounce back game, and he should come out here stronger versus the A's, and we've seen him in those last couple, but there's no value looking at the Minnesota Twins in this one. So give me Joey Estes over his 4.5 strikeouts, and give me the Oakland A's in the first 5, Kevin. I'm going to grab that at plus 156.
I think it's a great breakdown, Joe. I think sometimes this is the tricky thing with betting baseball where maybe you look at it and you say, oh, okay, Minnesota's, the better team. They should be favored. But if the number's too strong, can you bet dogs at enough of a rate where you go, all right, I got value here? And some people like to play baseball that way, where they're just going to bet more dogs, and you don't have to then be as successful when you can kind of bring all that plus money into the fold. Joe, one team that's not a dog today is the Baltimore Orioles. And in fact, I think I would probably argue it's a similar situation. Grayson Rodriguez is definitely the better pitcher on the mountain here today than the Philadelphia Phillies' Taijuan Walker. I just think the number's really strong on Baltimore. What do you make of their matchup with the Phils?
Yeah, I agree. The Baltimore Orioles, I don't think they deserve to be this big of a favorite, even though the Phillies out here with Walker has had his struggles. Walker, over his last couple, that ERA is a 5.70. There is the ability for Baltimore to be able to get those hits and those runs off of Walker today. But Grayson Rodriguez as well, even though he's been so hot, we look at the Phillies, we look at their bats and their ability to come out strong as well. What I'm going to do in this one, Kevin, is I'm just going to isolate the Baltimore Orioles team total over 4.5 runs coming in for the Orioles at -114. I think it's a strong way to go in this game because we know those bats can come alive. This one went to extra innings yesterday. The Phillies able to win it 5-3. The bullpen here of the Orioles is stronger. So I think if Walker has one of those games where he shows those struggles, the Orioles, no matter what, will hit off of him. And then if they don't, I think those runs can come against the Phillies bullpen. So give me the Baltimore Orioles over 4.5. And if we're looking here at the Baltimore Orioles, we got to look at Gunnar Henderson for that home run. He's coming in at +350 for the home run. The RBI at +135, I think, is in play as well, probably the stronger of the two.
Gunnar, again, the home run stuff has been incredible this year. I don't know how long it'll keep up, and maybe it'll just sustain the whole way. But just the fact that he has 21 home runs in that leadoff spot basically all year for the Orioles is really, really been impressive. Joe, what about an interesting spot here between Justin Verlander and Jack Flaherty? The Astros were able to get one yesterday off of Tariq Skubal, and it was a little frustrating. As somebody who played a first 5 over of 3.5, and then Skubal gave up 4 in the 6th. It's just that sometimes that's how it goes. But what do you see here for the second game between these two teams?
I'm looking for Jack Flaherty to come out nice and strong, and Justin Verlander. I think both of these pitchers can come out strong and limit the bats on either side. But you look at Justin Verlander, and I don't know if I have as much faith in him as I do in Jack Flaherty. Jack Flaherty has been so strong on the road this season, and I think he can do enough here to really limit those bats out there. He's been on fire over his last 3. That ERA is a 1.50 with 18 innings pitched and 22 strikeouts. I'm looking here at Flaherty to come out nice and strong and be able to win them this first 5 innings. That's coming in at +108. I just got to go with the plus money there. I know the Detroit Tigers got shut out yesterday, losing at 4-0, but I do think their bats can come out here versus Justin Verlander.
All right, so a little love there for Jack Flaherty. I think it's a really interesting spot. The number today being so similar to yesterday's number, with Skubal going, but Hunter Brown going, Verlander, I don't know. Maybe it's just a fine number there. I don't mind the look, though, on Jack Flaherty. Yankees in action once again today against the Boston Red Sox. I still, and look, it's easy to say, obviously, now with the fact that they won the baseball game, making it look a little bit better. But the Yankees' price yesterday was stunning to me. At one point, underneath -150 with Louis Heel on the mound against Bello, off of a loss for the Yankees as well. And I feel even better about that analysis just because today you have Criswell going for Boston, who's about the same as Brian Bello, but Rodon goes for the Yankees, and as good as Carlos Rodon is, he's not been as good as Louis Heel, and it's a much stronger number today for the Yanks. Maybe a lesson learned for the books. I'm not so sure. What do you make of this game today between Boston and New York?
Well, I can't believe we're getting so much value here on the New York Yankees. We saw them just dominate that one yesterday. And Rodon coming out here, definitely the stronger pitcher of the two. Criswell, you can't have faith in him. In his last 3, 1 and 2, that ERA is a 7.42. Overall ERA on the season, though, of 4.12. I think there's a lot of pitchers that are going to have better performances than their last 3 on the slate today, Kevin. But I do think the Yankees and their bats have been so phenomenally strong. I just can't see them not winning this game and not covering that run line, laying the 1.5 on the run line, coming in at -113 in this. And if we're going to look at the Yankees, we're going to turn back to Aaron Judge. His RBI today is coming in at -110. He was able to cash that RBI for us yesterday. Not the home run, though. His home run today at +260. Now, we're not getting as much value on Aaron Judge as we do on some of the other players to get those home runs. But if you're putting a home run prop in this one, I like Judge or Soto here to be able to get it done. Criswell, I just don't have the faith in him to not allow those home runs to come by the Yankees in this one. So I would stay off Rodon's K's, though. I wasn't able to get his outs over on FanDuel, but I do think he goes deep into the 7th inning. And if you can get 21 outs in this for him, I would definitely be taking that, Kevin.
All right, so we'll look for Carlos Rodon innings. I'll see if I can see if that number's been posted. I know sometimes it takes a little bit longer for these things to come out. Joe, let's talk quickly some Rangers-Mariners here. Yesterday, a game that I think was 2-2 at the end of the first inning that finished 3-2 and speaks to why the total's so low tonight.
Yeah, the total is phenomenally low here. And we also have the Nerfy out of betting range for myself. I went to bet the Nerfy in this one, Kevin, and was shocked that it was minus 170, but not really. When you look at the pitching matchup here with Eovaldi and George Kirby, I'm expecting this to be a complete pitching duel and for these pitchers to go back and forth and battle this one out. I won't be shocked if the under 3.5 in the first 5 innings doesn't even come close to that number. I am going to play the under 3.5. That's coming in at minus 110. I'm expecting maybe one run in the first 5 here. You look at Eovaldi, he's been strong. His strikeout prop I'm not loving today, though. 7.5 is the number at plus 122. I'm going to stay off that, but I will look at George Kirby here. George Kirby, I'm going to alt him to 7+ Ks because the books have it at 5.5, highly juiced. At 7+ Ks, that's coming in at plus 134. In his last 3, he has 21 strikeouts in 18 innings pitched. I do think he can come out and get those strikeouts here on the Texas Rangers. So ulting George Kirby to 7+ strikeouts and then the under 3.5 in the first 5 innings. If you wanted to take 1+ strikeouts for each pitcher in the first inning, I like that as well. The Nerfy is just, it's too juiced, Kevin, at minus 170 here, but I love it to cash.
Yeah, a parlay piece, perhaps, if people want to get involved. Also, Rodon, over 17.5 outs, 6 innings, minus 138. So, not bad, a little expensive. Maybe you pair that with that Nerfy. We'll talk some hockey next, right here on SportsGrid.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had the par in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
Breaking news in the NFL developing. T. Higgins will be signing his franchise tag today. What that means, I am not so sure. Does that mean he's going to show up to practice? Does that mean he's happy to play for the Bengals? Does that mean they'll talk long-term deal? That is considered a long shot, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, but a mini development, I would say. Can't call it massive. You're going to have to get some more fallout here, but T. Higgins signing that tag today with the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's talk some Stanley Cup final. Joe, I want to start with this, and that's the Conn Smythe. Now, The books are telling us it's going to be Bobrovsky. And that's fine if it is. This series may only have one game left, two, right? It would be really surprising if we even at this point, I think, saw a sixth game. So there may not be a lot of room for people to make up. Do you believe that Bobrovsky's minus 420 number right now using the FanDuel Sportsbook is an appropriate pricing and he ultimately will be the winner of this award?
Yeah, absolutely. You look at what Bobrovsky's been able to do out there on the ice, 2 shutouts during the playoffs, and he really has. He won them. That game 1 of this series. If it wasn't for that, this would not be a do-or-die situation today for the Edmonton Oilers. So I look at how strong Bobrovsky's been able to be, and he's been stealing these games. And when we look across the board for the rest of the Florida Panthers, there's not that standout player out there. But you got to remember, this is a voted on award. So as soon as humans come into it, you can't lay minus 420 on that price, Kevin. I think if you hadn't jumped on Bobrovsky before, it's just too late. I won't even throw that into a parlay, but I do think Bobrovsky deserves it. Barkov is another name that people keep throwing around because Barkov is a phenomenal two-way player out there. You've got to think he's been able to limit Connor McDavid on the ice. The big five of the Edmonton Oilers haven't been able to score, and Barkov is one of the reasons.
Yeah, that's why the Barkov number is interesting to me right now, plus 430. Probably would need another multi-point game out of him tonight in order to... And that's, again, it depends if the series is done tonight, right?
Yeah.
Barkov tonight for 2+ points is plus 320. If they lose, then he has 1 point. And then you kind of go back. It gets very interesting. I think the Bobrovsky performance last time out, you would have a better read on it than I would, Joe. 32 saves, but 3 goals allowed in a win. Was that considered a really good performance out of the Panthers goalie?
You know what? It was in the first and second period. He was absolutely lights out on fire. But we look at that third period out of Bobrovsky, and he allowed 2 goals on only 6 shots on goal, Kevin. So when you really break down those periods, he had a very weak third period. He should have been able to stop those. But the Edmonton Oilers, with their high danger shots, have been absolutely incredible out there. They've been dominating and getting those on the board. So when you look at the overall number, yes, it is impressive. What he's been able to do in the playoffs is impressive too. He's got a .953 save percentage in this series. So Bobrovsky's holding them in these games. If he wasn't as strong, if we were seeing numbers like Stuart Skinner out of Bobrovsky, Edmonton would be the one up in this series. So I do think it's justified. It's just he didn't have that third period that he needed.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. I don't want to waste money on the Barkov thing. I'm interested in it. Let's get to tonight's game, Joe, and we can start with Bobrovsky because I know you're interested in some of his props for Game 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at Bobrovsky's save shots on goal prop. This number is low at 24.5. Now you're going to have to lay the juice at minus 132. And I could see you ulting this one up. The Edmonton Oilers in the first period of the last game were able to get those shots. And then the Florida Panthers started limiting them in every one. And now with Edmonton with their backs against the wall, this is a do or die game for this team. They're going to have to find a way to get those shots on Bobrovsky. This game will come down if Bobrovsky can stand as tall as he did in the last game. Looking at that last game, Kevin, you already said it. Edmonton had 35 shots on him. He allowed those 3 to go in, so he did have 32 saved shots. I expect Edmonton to put up almost 35, 36, or 37 shots in this game. And I'm expecting Bobrovsky to do what he's done, and that's be able to stand on his head out there. His ability to make those high dangerous saves is incredible. And I think 24.5 is too low, even though this defense gives Bobrovsky support, can shut down the Edmonton Oilers. The Edmonton Oilers have to find a way to shoot that puck on the net. And I do think tonight that they find a way to get those shots.
And then taking a look here at the total, Joe, this game is once again 5.5, Edmonton a favorite. How are you looking to attack the rest of the items on the board?
You know, this is a really hard total because when you look at that total of 5.5, Kevin, it's really going to depend on how this game is going, if it's going to go over, because if Edmonton is down and pulls their goaltender, we're going to see empty netters come into play. So I'm going to stay off the full total. I am looking for that lockdown defense in the first period here between these two teams. Neither team looking to make a mistake. I'll take the under 1.5 in the first period. That's coming in at minus 122. If you want some plus money, you can look at the no goal in the first 10 minutes at plus 106. It is a little dangerous here because Edmonton loves to play that run and gun hockey. We'll need Bobrovsky to come in lights out to start this game. And we know in a couple of games in other series that quick goal has come on Bobrovsky and then he settled into it. So I'm going to stay off the no goal in the first 10 minutes, but I could see it cashing. I like better the under 1.5 at minus 122 in the first period. And then, Kevin, I'm going to look at the Florida Panthers team total over 2.5. This is one thing this team has proven that they can do. They're able to get these goals on Skinner and the Edmonton Oilers. That's coming in at minus 125, and they're able to do so on limited shots. So I do think the Florida Panthers can get 3 goals in this one, and I think the series is done, Kevin. Plus money on the Florida Panthers. If Edmonton goes up first, I'll be coming back with the Florida Panthers. We know this team is never out of a game.
Yeah, I will just say to the Florida Panthers team total there, someone who's played them for 2+ goals in every game, that series special is still listed. I know minus 188 is not everybody's favorite price, but that's much cheaper than what it is for them over a 1.5 team total tonight. And tonight could be the finale, as Joe said. I think still some value there. As always, Joe, we appreciate the breakdowns. We'll talk some Euro 2024 up next.
Crazy how many teams had a chance to win. The Ripper GC went from 9 back to leading by 2 to near the cellar again late in the day. It was so volatile, counting 4 scores. It was pretty nuts, but you know, the cliques have been cellar dwellers for basically 2.5 seasons, and they come out victorious today. That's awesome.
It'll be the summer of the cliques, definitely. So, like I said, there's definitely more to come from us.
It was a magnificent ball-striking performance.
Yeah, you know, I got to speak to someone in his camp before he teed off this morning, and they said to me that he is finally feeling extremely comfortable out here. He's not thinking about any swing thought. He's going out there, he's swinging so freely, and it certainly showed today. The way he drove the ball, the way he hit his irons, and even in his putting as well.
Yeah, and lives in Texas, went to school in Texas. His tour win on the PGA Tour was here in Houston, which is Texas, and now his first live win, Texas.
Honestly, it was just a matter of playing solid coming down the stretch. I think there was a switch there on 15 that I made birdie, he made bogey, and I just knew that I had the par in pretty much, and it was mine. The 18 I made bogey, but it worked. He played unbelievable, and he put pressure all the way to the end, and it was a good battle. I love playing here. Obviously, Texas treats me well. It's my adopted home state, so I'm just happy to get it done again in Houston.
Game time decisions. We are live with you right here on this Saturday. Euro 2024, one in the door. Very happy about that. So I have a buddy who I asked. I said, listen, you tell me what I have to give you, and I'll pay you, okay? Just give me a pick every day of Euro 2024. I said, I'm not going to make you pay me, but, you know, and he finally gave me a pick yesterday, which was the Scotland team total under half a goal, which lost in the 87th minute on an own goal. Now, for me, And I did bet it. Ultimately, I think it was funnier than painful, probably because I wasn't watching at the time. I was out of the house. I watched the first half of the game. But unsurprisingly, I don't have a play from my buddy on day 2. We didn't make it to day 2. So that means I had to step up. And I got in the mix with Switzerland-Hungary, both teams to score, which worked out. And it did work out. Again, kind of surface level look. For me, you just try and look at the run of form within like the calendar year, 365, that these teams have played. And I thought Hungary had a bit of a chance heading into the game, but Switzerland certainly a little bit of a level above. So instead of playing a spread or anything like that, I played Hungary. I figured Hungary would score. It would be really surprising if this game finished 1-0, 2-0 Hungary, so both teams to score at a plus price as well. Worked out nicely. That same bet in Spain-Croatia is certainly one you could talk me into. It's minus 108. But I prefer Spain in this game. Their money line is minus 110. I ultimately went for plus 110 on Spain's team total over 1.5 goals. I've been trying to find how I wanted to bet Spain here in this game. I prefer them to Croatia. I think they are, clearly priced as the better group. And I think ultimately their results leading up to Euro 2024 were more impressive. Now, these teams did actually meet in the qualifying stages. It was a scoreless game that went to penalties that Spain did win. In the game, though, Spain had 21 shots. Now, while that total number is boosted up a bit, right, with extra time and what have you, of the 21, only 2 were put on target. If Spain can just be more clinical with their chances, they really shouldn't have issue here getting 2 goals. I do think it's so interesting with Spain playing in a group that they're playing in. Italy, Albania is game 2, and Spain, Croatia, Italy, that trio has kind of given this group the label of group of death, how Spain and Croatia are going to look to attack here. To some degree, if Spain is up 1-0, is Croatia somewhat like, hey, listen, if you stop, we'll stop kind of thing. Goal differential could be a difference maker here, right? All of these clubs have a chance, all of these teams in Spain, Italy, and Croatia have a chance to make it out. Top 2 definitely, and then some of the third-place finishers will make it out. Again, it's just, for me, I wanted to find a way to play Spain. I think they're better. I'm on Spain here with the team total over 1.5 at plus 110. But I'm on Albania. Plus 1.5 on a spread here. Minus 140. I know it looks a little expensive. Albania's covered this in 12 of the last 13 international matches they have played. Only a loss of 3-0 to Chile, actually, is where this went awry. And Italy has not pulled away from teams. I know they've always have the defensive label. I think it's reflected in the pricing of the game. So a 1-0 game here wouldn't surprise me. I think Albania is live to get a draw, quite frankly, against Italy in this game. But plus 1.5 goals, minus 140. If Albania are able to find the back of the net, if they are, I have no fear then that they should be able to cover this, and they don't need to find the back of the net in order for this to be a winning wager. At minus 140, I'm going to be on Albania plus the 1.5 goals. Quick, by the way, what'll feel like an overreaction, but Germany couldn't have been more impressive yesterday against Scotland. And I never got to the futures market window prior to the tournament beginning. I'm still not there yet. I may ultimately wait for the round of 16. I know I won't get as good of numbers, but you'll get a bracket, you'll get an idea, let things develop that way. But the makeup of that German squad, to me, is great. It is the perfect mix of pedigree guys who have been here before, Toni Kroos, Manuel Neuer, and a lot of young talent that could really, really break out. It'll be a fun Euro 2020. It's about to kick off with a little bit more. We'll be right back. Game Time Decision.